Hi, Mary.
Hi, how is it going?
All right, how are you?
Good. I don't think I've talked to you since I don't even know, before you had two children.
Right?
That's for sure.
Which to me happened like yesterday, but I know was a while ago.
Right.
I wanted to talk to you. Well, I wanted to map your transition into political operative because
Is that what I
when oh yeah, absolutely. When we last talked, you were like sort of semi aimlessly
am?
structuring your career in the museum world.
That's correct.
But like
Yes.
the election had just happened, and that was like hanging over us, and it was really interesting to see where you ended up going. So was like the Let America Vote thing your first move, or what was the path from museums to what you're doing now?
Thankfully, in museum work, I was doing a lot of content creation in general. So like some of the internships and work placements that I had before I moved back from London, as well as, when I moved back to the United States, were in the realm of like making blog posts and doing social media. And so I really kind of see that, plus all of the work that I had done through YouTube and even like community organizing on YouTube, as a really as the foundation of everything, because without those different pieces I would have never gotten to where I am now. I was just trying to find a job in museums. It really wasn't working out. One reason is like I was in Florida and all the jobs I was applying to were out of Florida. So you're right to say that Let America Vote kind of was the start of it all in terms of moving into this space. I was really just looking for a way to get out of Florida. I was like, okay, I know that I need to like get somewhere. I didn't really know where I wanted to be, but I was like, I'll go to Washington. I'll try to get to Washington D.C. area, and Let America Vote kind of made that possible in that they were offering supporter housing. So if anyone knows about political campaigns or campaigning, is that often the bigger campaigns have a list of supporters who they can contact to get like free housing for the length of the campaign for campaign workers and like out of state volunteers and different things like that. So I was able to move without having to worry about like the big moving like price points essentially. Like I didn't have to worry about getting having a security deposit or like worrying about rent for 3 months, which allowed me to one save up money, work simultaneously like doing Uber and all of that because I wasn't getting paid on Let America Vote. So I went up as basically a field intern. I was knocking on doors, I was canvassing, something I'd never done before. Obviously, I was interested in the political process. Otherwise, I wouldn't have tried to do this thing. But it was never a career path that I ever was like, I'm gonna do that. That makes sense. It really was just like a vehicle to get me to a different place and then to find a job in museums.
Interesting. So it really
Yeah.
was. It really was just a get out of town plan.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, this is, the best way for me to save money. And it's like something interesting that I can talk about. Like, I think it's an important part of a citizen's citizenship is knocking on doors and being part of the political process in that way. So I figured like, oh, I'll get it out of the way and I'll be able to say that I did it and then I can go about my life.
Yeah, so you did your tour of duty
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
but then obviously the path continued on like longer than maybe you thought it was going to continue. Do you still consider
Yeah.
yourself to be on the path back to museums?
So in a way, yes. After the campaign was done, it was only 3 months that I was there. We won the election. A lot of our so it was a statewide election. So not only were we working on the governor campaign, but also the like state delegate campaigns. So a lot of I think out of all of our different candidates, only one didn't win their election, which was amazing. Like an amazing thing to be a part of, especially for your first campaign. But the digital director on Let America Vote, she kind of helped me with my resume. I started thinking towards the end of that process, like, well, I was applying to museum jobs throughout this entire thing. I hadn't given up just because I had like gotten this other gig basically. And I wasn't getting any kind of results still. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like I was a really good candidate, that I had like a variety of, experiences, and basically nothing was really working. And so she helped me look at my resume, and she was trying to help me look, beyond the nonprofit museum field. And a firm that she used to work at basically really needed someone quickly, because they were just growing really quickly and only had a team of two, and someone had just left. And so she introduced me to them, and I worked at that firm for 2 years afterwards. So I moved into still the political space, but not the partisan space. So I was working more on advocacy and nonprofits and advocacy groups, communicating with their legislators, and communicating around bills. And it wasn't just the political, like, grassroots space. It was also some like normal marketing, and some like business to business communications and things like that.
So that's kind of where
But
like your previous YouTube blog writing knowledge kind of came
yeah,
came back in, right?
yeah, no, exactly. And so I was able to get that job because of all of those different experiences. I was able to say, well, I have this video capabilities that you don't have, and I can really help you grow that part of your business. And I know how to write for social media, and I know about social media platforms, and I'm not an idiot, and I can like write without needing someone to like destroy the writing that I just wrote, like really basic things. And they really, I think, took a chance on me. And I am so thankful for that entire process. Like I said, like, it's been 2 years. I just left on Friday, was my last day there. And I was able to grow so many different skill sets that then has led me back into politics, because I learned all about like emails and email lists, and advertising, both on the like political space and the non-political space, all different types of vendors. I was able to grow all these skills, and then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to like move on basically, and like find a new venture. And I did actually, during my application process, apply for museum digital jobs. I just, nothing really worked out. And then I ended up like doing a lot of political applications, and now I'm a digital director on a political campaign. So it's funny how it's led me back to this, but I do think this is like an experience that is important for me professionally, but also going back to what I said around Let America Vote, like it being a part of, like, everyone should be a part of a political campaign in some way. I do still feel that way, but this is just a completely different area of political campaign, where before I was knocking on doors, I was talking to voters like at their doorsteps or calling them. And this is all digital and all online, and it's doing the exact same thing, but it's virtually and digitally. So,
What is it that
yeah.
makes you think? By the way, what is it that makes you say that everybody should work for a political campaign? I've heard people say that about like restaurants, right? Everybody should work at a restaurant for 2 years. It should be like the Israeli military. Um, but in that way, but the reason for that, right, is that you kind of learn like empathy for the other side of that exchange.
Yes,
Now,
100%.
now it may not be feasible for everyone in the world to work at a
Right.
restaurant for 2 years. So, what's the benefit of working on a political campaign? What is it that you think that everyone should learn?
So I think you're totally right in that it gives you some empathy for how a political campaign is run, and you kind of learn why people are contacted, and why you get all these calls from elected officials or their volunteers, or people are knocking on your door. But I also think it's a really good way to learn about people, and about how to communicate with people, and also how to communicate with people who have very different views from you, because a lot of the time you're going to be knocking on doors with people who do believe in the same thing that your political candidate does, but you're also going to be knocking on a lot of doors or calling people that don't. And so you have to, one, it's a really good lesson in persuasion and how to talk about a topic and try to persuade people into it, or basically being diplomatic in a way. But also, it just teaches you how to, interact with people on a civil in a civil state, like civil stage, and how to like listen to someone and understand their where they're coming from. And at the end of the day, you may not like agree, or you might walk away and not have really resolved anything. But it's hard to be like, it's not like on the internet where you can just like delete a comment or just like ignore it. Like that person is in front of you, right? They're talking to you, and that's why I think it's so important, to be a part, especially on the field side, to be a part of a political campaign in that way.
Yeah. Do you think you flipped a lot of people?
Well, I mean, this may get into like little bit too much like strategy around political campaigns, but we were talking majority with people who agreed with us already, because I was working towards the end of the campaign. And so towards the end is when you start focusing on getting people to actually leave and go vote, rather than trying to convince people to vote for your person. So that's like, obviously you've probably heard of GOTV, get out the vote. So that's like the later half of the campaign. But like the beginning to middle is persuasion, when you're actually talking to people who may not necessarily agree or who are undecided. And a lot of campaigns will really strategize and focus on independents and undecideds, rather than people they already know are voting for the other candidate or the other side. So you don't end up talking to a lot of people who blatantly disagree, but you do occasionally get someone who either is just annoyed at having someone knock on their door like all the time, or someone who just doesn't agree. And like, I've had great conversations with people where I don't know if I 100% persuaded them, but I definitely was able to give my side of things and hear their side. And I think that at the end of the day, that can help people be a little bit more like lenient, at least, and when they look at a policy and like think about it, and whether or not like they're going to vote around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's always hard to know. Like it's not like I'm going to knock on the door of whatever person's house and then know that they voted a certain way.
Yeah. Can I confess something horrible to you?
Sure.
During the Democratic primary, so many canvassers came to my house.
Yep.
And I had a small baby, I had a child, and I had a dog that goes crazy. So every single time a canvasser came to my house, it just a total storm erupted.
Yeah.
And I, just to get them to go away, I would just tell everyone I was voting for their candidate. So
Oh,
like
no.
when the Biden people showed up, I was like, yeah, I'm a Biden guy, 100% Biden, voting Biden. When the Warren people showed up 20 minutes later, I was like, Warren all the way, Warren all the way. When the Bernie people showed up, I was like, yeah, and then that's about it. I never saw any Cory Booker or Buttigieg people.
Yeah. That may hurt you in the long run, because that means that you're like, if you tell them they're like, oh yeah, 100%, then they know they like are tallying you as 100%, and so they're more likely to badger you later on.
So I was hoisted by my own petard.
Yeah, not always, but like that, basically you're telling them I will vote for your candidate, and so their job is to make sure you leave your house on election day and vote, right?
Yes.
So but hopefully that time is gone and you don't have to worry about it until another 2 years or however long the cycle is now.
And I live literally around the corner from the polls too, so I was probably everybody's first stop.
Yeah.
So all right, so you're about to start a new job, or you have already started your new job?
I have. Today's my third day. Woo.
What is it like switching jobs in a pandemic? And I will tell you that I'm asking for selfish reasons, because I'm switching jobs in a couple of days.
Well, it is not, it's a little bit confusing. It's not too difficult, I don't think. Because say that I was like in the office and then had to immediately switch to remote work, I think that would have been more disruptive. But because I've gone from doing remote work for 2+ months and then into another job that's also remote, like that transition has been easy. The transition that has not been as easy is just getting all the information I need to feel like confident in what I'm doing, which is like true for a job if you're in the office if you're starting a new job. But I do think that like everyone is, it's not as focusing, right? So like anyone that I'm communicating with is dealing with their own things on their own side, and like they all have all this stuff going on, and it's not like we're all in the office and they can only focus on that one thing, and it's not like I'm there like staring them in the face like give me information. So it's like out of sight out of mind sort of.
Yeah.
So that's been difficult, and I think that's more of just a like confidence piece, as I mentioned, like just feeling like I have everything to go forward and do what I need to do to like really start off this new job in an impactful way. That being said, I do think I've done a good job, and I got actually a lot more information today that has really helped me. So really it is kind of just building into it, but I think trying to be, I guess, not forceful, but like definitely ask for what you need, so that you feel like you have it and that you can go forward, because it can seem a little awkward if you're not like over the phone or like through email, especially with people you just don't know very well.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. That's certainly it's a thing I'm worried about too. Luckily for me, it's a job I've been kind of in the process of getting for a year, so I know all the people. But
well, that's good at least.
yeah, I have sympathy for both sides of it too, because I'm training a new person at my old job while getting ready to leave too, and I feel how difficult it is to adjust. But
I've been sort of doing the same thing in that I finished a webinar for my former boss last night. I've been like still working on my old job pieces at the same time as also working on my new job. I'm just like finishing things up, but it'll be nice to see what it feels like once I can totally have everything from my old firm like off my plate, and now it's just the campaign.
plus, you have maybe kind of a little bit of an advantage with your new coworkers because they don't know what you're like either, right? So
That's true.
you can be like this mysterious force. It's kind of great that you're a digital director because to them you're just like a voice in a computer, So like you might literally be digital. They don't know.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, the voice on the 9 a.m. calls is actually a robot the whole time. I perfected AI.
I don't know that I've ever suspected you of being a robot. I can't say that I have. I think you are a person who like even your like tweets seem very human. You seem like a person in text, which I think is a sign of being a good writer. I think you were saying that.
Oh well, thank you.